and welcome to 19 O'Clock News, a Kodocha podcast. My name is Mahou Shoujo M, and I am joined today by my co-host.
That Kodocha Girl, also known as Ari.
And today,
We have a special guest. We have Basic Boy, also known as K. Introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. I'm Kay. I go by Basic Boy on YouTube. I make anime and manga analyses, commentary, essay videos, primarily on shoujo and josei, anime and manga, and been doing it for a few years. And thank you guys so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely love your Kodocha video. That's actually how I found your channel.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I love your Marmalade Boy video too, because like we get each other about that series.
I that There are some interesting things I discovered in that comment section about the way people compare Kodocha and Marmalade Boy, and it is baffling.
hmm
yes.
hmm
Other than some like vague resemblance between leads, it makes no sense.
Yeah, it's very weird. It came up multiple times, and I
Mhm.
was like, "Wait, isn't Miki Sana?" And I'm like, "No, please don't disrespect Sana like that."
Exactly.
So true.
I actually just got through with the entirety of the manga, and
Tried.
it really wasn't the worst thing I ever read, but it was like so many of the
Hmm.
decisions that she made in the writing was like, what? Like, because like there were things that were set up to where it could have like gone in some really interesting directions, but it was like, I feel like the mangaka took the easy way out, right? I guess
Yeah,
her
Yoshizumi tends
editors.
to do that a lot. I've read a lot of stuff from her, so I'm very familiar with her stuff in particular. But I'm critical of her for reasons. But Marmalade Boy is an interesting case because the editor did not help Yoshizumi at all. Like she would have certain ideas like were the big one that everyone gets upset about. Miki and you being like the half sibling step, like the plot in that. And originally, they weren't even supposed to end up together, the step siblings, but the editor was like, "Well, everybody loves it, so you have to do it."
Yeah, no, I was reading about it's in the last volume at the end. She talks about the development of Marmalade Boy and she talks about how the characters a lot of them were gender swapped and the original intent was she was going to have the main character be a male and
Yep.
basically the editor just like threw all of her plans for Marmalade Boy out the window and I was like, everything she's saying like this would have been a way better story.
It was originally supposed to be about you. Like this was you's story.
Yeah.
So it was, and I understand with because the target demographic, especially in shoujo, they focus on the female lead. So I think that was probably the direction. But I think it would have been so interesting if you was the focus because there were just so many Easter eggs about him. And I guess like even I don't know why, I always feel like Marmalade Boy and Kadocha are so interesting to compare. You can really tell that's Akito, even though Sana is primarily the lead, Akito still feels like he has a bunch of substance and
Mhm.
it's not just there for drama. There's actual meaning behind it. And like with
Yeah.
you could tell that's where Yoshizumi was going, but her editor probably told her to just be like, nope, we can't do that. So that's why Miki was such a focus, and that really hurt the story.
Yeah, I
I think it
agree.
was.
And there was actually a little bit of which I found it to be a little bit misogynistic, was she was told that because she was a woman, she can't write a good male lead.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, Rumiko Takahashi,
Exactly.
it's, I don't know. I
Yeah,
did
the
think,
misogyny that some of these editors have for the female artists, it really gets me because they did the exact same thing to you, Watase.
hmm
And oh, her ex that experience she had was horrible.
yeah.
That editor. when because she wrote about it in her blog and then it was reported by Anime News Network, the stuff that editor would say, like acting
Mhm.
as if like her audience was stupid, they wouldn't get it, and like they needed like they couldn't trust her to write for like a shonen magazine
Mm.
because at the time she was a woman. So it's just like, huh?
Oh yeah. It's like I
No
do
big
remember
deal.
reading something once about like 'cause there's within both shoujo and shonen magazines there are very few female editors even.
Hmm.
Even for things like Repo and Nakayoshi, Margaret, etc. And I read somewhere that the general feeling there is that like women editors can't really work on shonen series because they do not understand the hearts of young boys.
Oh
Uh-huh.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
wasteful
I
statement.
maybe quote that, I don't know, once a week.
Because it's
Like,
true.
because it's silly. And so my husband will be like, "Oh, you don't understand." I'm like, "It's because I don't understand the hearts of young boys, isn't
And
it?
then they'll use
That's what
those
it
same
is."
arguments for like shoujo being trash. And I remember seeing a comment somewhere where they were like, well, you can't say shoujo is trash because it's made with the hearts of girls. And people were like, wait. And I was like, mm,
Oh,
that's a
no.
good point. I was like, hold up, clock
I
it.
I did think it was funny. I was scrolling through your channel, Kay, and I was watching your Kodocha video, and I did find you calling you white bread male lead.
Oh, he
Did
is.
did tickle me quite a bit.
It's true. And it was very it was coincidental that he had like a piece of toast in his mouth. So I was like, I had to. I drag you Matsura at least once a week because he needs to be dragged.
Good for you.
That and also that I'm glad Yoshizumi didn't do this anymore, but oh my goodness, Marmalade Boy, besides just like the obvious things, that series was so homophobic.
Mm.
It's kind of like the anime especially because I don't know who was behind the decisions in the anime. They added so much stuff to it that just made the plot so much worse, and all the parts that were already bad was just increased to 11. And it's just like, why? Like, what is the reason? And then I found out
Yeah,
that the
they have
manga
a
and
New
the
York
anime
arc
were like
too.
being made simultaneously. So when they caught up, they had to like add a bunch of filler because
Mhm.
otherwise they wouldn't have anything to adapt, which is like, I mean, I get where they were coming from, but it's just like
Yeah. Take a
it didn't
hiatus.
work.
Like,
Hmm.
I would so much rather a show just like take a year off, let the manga get ahead, and then come back to it than do a bunch of
The
filler that does
quality
not
would have
add
been
to
better
the.
too.
Yeah, exactly. I'd like save your budget and
Yeah,
like
like you can
every
do
single.
seasons. You can do
Yes.
seasons. That's the thing. Because
Season
if I
seasons
could
are so
recall,
great.
I don't think Marmalade Boy, I don't know if they were explicit about seasons. I don't know if they were, like Kodocha was. I don't think they were explicit about that.
I'm not I'm truthfully I'm like I've managed to stay out of Marmalade Boy all of these years, and at this
I feel
point I
like it's
Lucky
just don't
you.
literally
really
just,
feel
I feel
like.
like it's me and then my friend Harryana, the other ones that like continue talking about it. Because I feel like everyone just like ignores it, pretends it doesn't exist. And I was like, no, we're not doing that. We're not pretending
No,
this didn't exist.
it's fun
I
to
was
hate
like
on it.
I
It
was like
is. There's too many things. There's so many things. The one thing that always, I've critiqued it a lot on my channel. People get angry at me about it, but I'm like, I will always critique the way she handled the student-teacher romance in that series.
Hmm.
It
mm-hmm.
was, it was horrible. And then to
Yeah.
find out, I didn't mention this about Marmalade Boy video because I was like, I already talked about it, but it was like, Yoshizumi literally stated at an anime convention that she didn't see anything wrong with it. And this was in 2017
Girly
when
mom,
Yeah,
no.
when I was
my
reading
jaw hit the
Marmalade
floor.
Boy, I don't blame you. When I was reading Marmalade Boy, and I will say that out of all the characters, I thought that Mako was the best, most well-written character. And I just got this feeling, and I don't want to speak for anybody, and this kind of plays into the topic, the overarching topic of today's podcast. But like, I almost felt like did did the mangaka, did she have like an experience when she was young? Like it almost felt like because Mako was so well written, I almost felt like there was some trauma that she went through that she
Mhm.
was channeling within that character. It's just a feeling I got. I can't I don't have a basis for that, but
I would honestly hope so because, again, Mako is the most well-written character. I think that's what makes it so frustrating because I feel like the way she wrote her, if, you know, because my thing is like Nomura didn't need to be as prominent in the series at all. Like it just, he didn't do anything for the actual plot at all. So it's like the moment when like their relationship gets exposed, like that could have been, he could have just been gone. Mako could have recovered from her trauma, written her book, and moved on. Like
exactly.
that would have been such a powerful statement. And I think that's what frustrates me about it because it's like that would have been like an insane way to depict someone going through abuse, being, groomed and then being able to come out of that, even if you still have trauma, but be able to have like life on your own terms,
Mhm.
if you kind of like get what I mean. So
Yeah,
it's just like
no, that's exactly as I was reading it, and I was vaguely aware that they ended up together. So as I was reading it, I still had that, like as someone who writes a lot and has always been interested in creative writing, it was like that just seems like the obvious way to go, but I bet somebody told her, hey, maybe that would be a better idea, or maybe, again, if she was saying that at a convention in 2017, then maybe there was some actual trauma that was written into that character in that situation.
that honestly, I'm like I'm what I like I would hope to give her the benefit of the doubt, and that's what happened. And if it is, it's like, oh man, I'm like I feel horrible because
Hmm.
stuff like that does happen.
Hmm.
But it's like, if it was her experience, like, and I feel like the manga isn't even as bad as the anime, in my opinion. Like, I think the anime handles it even worse.
Mm,
I feel like the manga, like, I reread it, I think, a couple weeks ago. It's like, it's not great, but the anime is just worse
Hmm.
because they added new characters, prolonged the relationship too, and then like the end of the series like has is literally on their wedding day. Like it was giving Pretty Little Liars, and I was like,
Mhm.
what?
Hmm.
Because the manga just, if I'm not mistaken, it just has like a picture of Miko and Nomura together, and they're just kind of like an afterthought. And then the anime, it's like a whole wedding, and it's like,
Yeah.
huh?
Really, really digging their heels in on that one.
Yeah, I'm like, what were the people working, who were like production direct, like what were they thinking with that?
I think something that we all have to remind ourselves, I mean, especially with series like Marmalade Boy that are older and just I think sometimes we are looking at things through both our 2025 lens and then also our Western lens. And that doesn't mean that like
Yeah.
we shouldn't critique them or that they aren't morally incorrect. Like a child cannot consent. This is a fact. But I'm like I have a hard time like vilifying people who are just a part of that time and that culture and just having I don't know, like Clamp obviously comes into my mind a lot because we have some issues with them with that as well, but I just don't think it's like ill intended. It just is ill, if that makes sense.
yeah,
Yeah,
no, that
Like I don't
definitely.
think
totally.
they're not I don't think they're like trying to like promote grooming or like being predators or anything. They just have an outlook that is dated and wrong,
Yeah,
maybe.
no,
Yeah,
I get
I
it.
was glad to find out Yoshizumi hasn't implemented it. She hasn't done any more of that in like any of her
Mm,
later work at all.
okay.
Because I remember I don't know if it was a recent work, but she did a work called Cherish that was actually licensed by Tokyo Pop, and that series was actually really good.
Mm,
That was a really good one from her. And then Ultramaniac again, the other magical girl series she did. So
mm,
it's like I'm assuming maybe it was just with that series, it's just like a poor lapse of judgment or something.
mm.
Because her later works doesn't have any of that in it. So I'm like, maybe it was just like a one time.
Yeah, it's funny because what inspired me to read Marmalade Boy, and I went back and I read some of her other things too, was I read Ultramaniac when I was younger and I loved it. And I
Hmm.
recently found out that she also made
Yep.
Marmalade Boy, and that shocked me. I was like, what? Ultramaniac was like really good, and then Marmalade
Yeah.
Boy is ass. Like what?
Yep. It's the dissonance. That's why I'm like, maybe it was the editor because her other stuff isn't
Plausible.
terrible
Definitely
at
plausible.
all.
But yeah, when it comes to trauma, Marmalade Boy ain't it. But Kodocha is a really, really great series when it comes to portraying trauma. But before we jump into that topic, I actually want to ask you, Kay, how did you discover Kodocha and what about it resonates with you?
Yeah, so I actually read and watched Kodocha. It was 2019. It was around the same time I was watching series like Gakuen and both of those series I love them so much and I've been like revisiting both of them recently and it kind of really got me into shoujo. It was like those two and then like Fruits Basket and God A First Love, like all those like classic shoujo manga that I used to just eat up all the time. And one thing with Kodocha specifically, I think what resonated with me a lot was the bullying aspect, which I actually talked about in a video almost a year ago. And that storyline really impacted me because I also was bullied and, seeing characters in the series that were, being ridiculed and especially like the girls in the series were the ones that were often being like tormented by the guys in the class. And that resonated with me a lot because I also experienced very similar things as some of my friends also experienced those things. And so that early storyline in Kodocha was definitely the reason why I was like, oh man, this is like something that I legit experience bar for bar. So I continued watching it and I loved it. I loved that dub in particular. That holds a very special place in my heart. And that was how I discovered it.
Well, glad that you did.
I hope that it because I know that bullying can sometimes have a long lasting effect, and I hope that Kodocha was able to help understand those feelings that you had and helped you heal from that. But yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Hmm.
All
Is
right.
it time to
Yeah, I guess maybe what was I guess next talking point?
yeah,
Yeah,
so we are discussing trauma and how it is experienced by the characters of Kodocha. I think it would be really swell if Ari, you have a good psychology definition explanation of trauma
yeah.
for
So,
those in the back of the class.
thank you. I'm so flattered because it's like I use my degree more in this stuff than I do in my actual job. So
Can
kind of
relate to that
funny,
too.
kind of funny how life works like that. But so, according to the American Psychological Association, trauma is defined as any disturbing experience that results in significant fear, disassociation, confusion, or other intense disruptive feelings that can have a long-lasting effect on a person. It can affect a person's thoughts, emotions, behavior, how they function daily. And what's interesting about Kadocha and the trauma being a part of the narrative, is you can find it in pretty much every character to some degree. And what's interesting is none of them go through really, I would say, similar trauma. They all go through a very unique experience and they all handle it in very different ways.
Oh, 100% agree. I think it's very interesting when I rewatched a little bit before coming on here and yeah, very different. Very surprised by the way Obana utilizes each of the characters' like own weaknesses and insecurities. And
Mm,
that is a part of their trauma. I think Sana is a big one, of course. And I
mhm.
think the way she's been able to navigate, not like knowing who her mom is at first and, trying to figure out who her family is and at the same time, like trying to find connections and relationships and like realizing parts of those relationships weren't fully true, like what happened with her and Ray in the beginning. Like, I feel like that part of it, her insecurity of like having a place to belong and knowing, honestly, like where you come from is such a, that's like a, I think many kids, I think, go through that. And I think like, Sana's a very interesting character to look at. Aikido too, I think one of the things with him, because I love the way, because they could have fallen into traps I've seen with other characters. I kind of think of Bakugo from My Hero Academia, which is kind of like a complete turnaround, but it's like the way Aikido is humanized and not just a stereotypical bully,
Hmm.
it makes him more impactful as a character, more interesting to watch than someone that a stereotype in a way. It's just like, okay, we know you're mean, we know you're bad, we know you're like, give us something more.
Hmm.
That's what I loved about the way he was written.
Yeah. No, I think that's very aptly put. Something that I do appreciate about Obana, I think you pointing out the that she uses the weaknesses as like logical impacts of the trauma. But it's so insightful and perceptive considering how old she was when she started writing this series. I was thinking about that today about like, for being in her early 20s, she was able to empathize and create a believable adult mother parent figure in Misako, who was solidly 10 plus years older than her and had life experiences that she had not.
Hmm.
And I just think it's perceptive, I think would be the word I would choose. Very, very perceptive, insightful, how she was able to put all of those things together and have everybody feel so real.
Hmm. I feel like even just like beyond like Aikido and Sana, which I love their story. I could talk about them all day, but I think maybe it's because I had a personal experience with this. Satoshi, I messed it up in that video. Like I feel like his story as someone that has similar things, similar like familial parental issues. I was like, oh boy, with his
Mhm.
father not being around and him having to take on that role and having to raise his sister like that. Because I've had experiences like that too, because I'm also like a product of similar things that Toshi went through. And, seeing him, he has to be like smart and intelligent, for a reason, because
Mhm.
he's essentially having to be like a father figure.
Mhm.
And I think that's kind of why I feel like he's almost that same way with Aikido. Like he's kind of like an older brother, father figure to him in a way.
I
Mm.
never thought about it like that.
Yeah, I think I just had that realization when I was like rewatching. I was like, wait, he literally looks like someone that's trying to guide Aikido into making like better decisions, especially considering how like Sana and all of them became friends. And Akito sometimes will like slip into his like habits that he used to be when he was a bully, and then like
Mhm.
Tsuyoshi kind of has to like help him along with that and give him tips, but not in a way where it feels like preachy, but in a way where it's just like I'm giving you like a tidbit of point and being like, hey, like that. And I think that
What's
that
funny
connection.
is Aikido has the whole like karate chop thing with him when he gets really out of control. But
Yes.
like Tsuyoshi's version of the karate chop is like very like intuitive and emotional. It's like an
Mhm.
emotional karate chop almost.
Uh-huh.
I love that. An emotional karate chop is so good.
It's yeah, that's actually a perfect way to put it.
That is really, I do like that, I think, portraiture of Tsuyoshi, because I think what always affects me about Tsuyoshi is the depth of his friendship and how deeply he cares about Sana and Akito and how much time he spends like considering them and thinking about them. And I'd always thought of that in more of a friendship context, but it is kind of funny when you think about like Tsuyoshi as like the mother duck trying to get her, ducklings to get in line. um,
Yeah.
Sort of more of a parental role. It is interesting, especially because I mean, Akito I love Fuyuki. I think he's a great character, but a little lacking in the dad department to start with. So,
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh. And
mhm.
even oh man, because I feel like one of the trauma points I think that always stuck with me. I think it's like right at the end of season one where Sana's father comes into the mix and then her having to meet her biological mom, and
Yeah.
I feel like that was a very pivotal point for Sana in particular because especially that storyline. That storyline, I mean, I have my opinions about it. I do have my opinions on her father. I do.
Hmm.
Um,
Yep.
I feel like most people have come to the consensus like, yeah, this man was like not the best father.
Yeah, it's such a weird
Like
arc.
controversial. Like, I don't think Takeshi was the best father. I don't think so.
No, I don't think anybody would argue you on that one.
I
Um,
always get
I can't think of
scared.
anybody. There are honestly so few people who even like defend that arc. It's sort of
Yeah, it's
it's a thing that brings us all
crazy.
together.
I've
I
had
don't know,
people in my comments
did the
section defend
anime make
it.
it worse? Like, I could have sworn the manga was not as like overt with this.
No, I honestly kind of prefer the manga version where it's like Sana has a dad somewhere.
Yeah,
He exists.
yeah. And then
Not gonna ask about him though, and we're not gonna find out. And that was honestly fine with me.
that
And
actually like that
technically he was dead,
Oh,
wasn't
is he
he?
dead in the manga?
oh he
I
I
think
was.
I think Keiko said that he died, and she said this in the anime too.
She said it in the anime for sure. I wasn't sure if she said it in the manga.
I think she does. I'd
Okay.
have to reread that, but
Oh,
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Hmm.
interesting. That's very interesting.
And then he wasn't dead at all in the
And then he
anime.
wasn't that
Just
like
in
that
America.
I did
Brought him
remember
back
that
to life
realization
just to
Keiko
kill
had.
him
That was insane.
again.
Yeah, because it's like even when I like because that's probably my biggest that's like my biggest gripe I think I would even have. But like I think it works in a way. I think it works with Sana and coming to terms with her family. Like it works, but it's just like it's so jarring
Hmm.
because like if you think about it too hard, it's like, oh, this man is not he's just not a good person. It's just like, mm-mm.
Yeah, when I first watched that arc, because I hadn't started the manga yet, and I was getting through all the filler, and as soon as he entered the picture, I thought, okay, so we're kind of picking back up with the main storyline. At the time, I thought that was canon. And I sat through it and I watched it and I finished it and I was like, that wasn't too bad. But it's one of those things I feel like it gets worse the more you think about it for sure.
Mhm.
Yes.
It's like certain stuff where it's just like I'm just gonna have to moonwalk out of it.
Yep.
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
But it's
I
like it made Sana's story and her family and that aspect like it added an extra layer to it. So like story wise, I think it made it deeper, but it's just, it's one of those things where it's like execution was probably not as great, but I think it was an important part to have, especially considering found family is a big part of Kodocha, in my
hmm
opinion.
Yes, would definitely agree with that found family piece. As for the arc itself, I mean, I there were definitely some aspects of it I enjoyed, like Takeshi being an actor also, and them having
Yes.
those like comedic duo moments where they were just like so in sync and so like popping and stuff. I thought was really fun. But it was just like where it all, and if it I actually think if he had like just been her dad and not we hadn't done a like repeat of the boyfriend thing,
Yeah.
it probably would have been more fine. But it was very much like we're going to start this arc. Everything that Sana has learned so far is going out the window. We're going to completely ignore all of the development she's done about this with like Ray and start over.
Yeah,
And I
that's
Um,
was
the main
I
issue,
was
the
like, did we
creepy
not learn?
relationship.
Did we not learn our lesson?
exactly. She's like,
It worked, but
what
it's
if
like,
again?
why do it again?
What if again? like
Like, thank goodness. I mean, Ivana's good because she will never go through with that. So it's like, thank you. But it's like, ooh,
mhm. If that had been a 300 episode series, I bet we would have gotten at least two more adult boyfriends before the end.
Oh,
Oh, I mean,
Um,
remember like the episode 103 or season 3 preview at the end of 102? And
mhm.
there's like this whole like little section where this like I guess he's like an actor and he's like giving a rose to Sana. Remember that?
wait,
So
yes, I
they were
remember
Vaguely.
definitely going to do it
that.
again. They were going
Ugh,
to do it again for
I'm
sure.
so tired.
Yes.
But
No, put her with Nazumi, put him with him.
for real.
Like
Ugh,
keep there if you want an extra man.
I know.
Like you
God,
don't have we don't.
we don't. They don't have to be adults. Could
They
have
don't have to be
been.
adults. They don't.
They just don't. Why does
Like
this keep happening?
it gets me. I don't know why it shouldn't. I just that's like it's like the trope I hate the most. Like that's the trope.
Hmm.
I'm just like because like it can very quickly be done in the wrong way.
Hmm.
But
Oh
like
yeah.
but I'm glad it never went there. So I was like, whew.
You
Yeah.
know, I think the only time I've ever seen that trope done well is, ironically, it's in Kodocha with Sana and Rei,
Yep.
because I felt like there's a point to it. There's a lesson that you can learn from it. Um,
That I always compliment that aspect of the series because and I just feel it's more powerful that way because it's like because then it's like Ray knows what he's doing is wrong and Sana's just like in a land where it's like I'm with him and then like the moment when it breaks when he actually has somebody he actually loves and that also causes Sana just like so much like pain and turmoil because that's like what people would go through when like realizing that someone you love didn't even love you at all. And part of
mhm.
that was because of your age. It's just like that just made that made that arc so distinct in my like that I rarely ever like forget about it because it was handled so well.
Yeah. I will say it makes it hard for me to get people in my real life to watch a second episode.
Uh
They see that first scene in the pilot with them in bed, and I have to be like, it's resolved in 9 episodes. There's nothing untoward happening. I promise. You just have to like get through it. I promise this is a very interesting arc.
It's so funny
Not creepy, I
because
promise.
I remember showing it to, I think it was, I'm pretty sure it was my dad. It was my mom or dad. And he kind of looks over at me while we're watching. He's like, she sleeps in the bed with him. And I look at dad, I'm like, don't worry, you'll see what happens. It's not creepy. I
Let's all watch the
promise.
show together. Like, ugh. I do love that arc too, because especially like that lesson that Sana learns where she was like, treating Ray more like a possession or a toy than a person. So
yep.
he is the child's toy. Ray Tsugami is the main character.
Yeah.
His name is the title. Like,
Wasn't someone that she actually wanted. It was more just like to parade him around.
You
and
know,
fair.
I
He's a
would
cutie
Yeah.
also
pie.
I would also say that, even though Ray obviously had no feelings for her, I do think that him having to shatter her reality was also a little traumatic for him, because
Mhm.
he lost his parents, he was homeless, he lost his girlfriend, and he found meaning again in helping this little girl. And I think for him it was also a loss because he had played that part for so long, and it was probably very hard for him to kind of step away from that role and, finally face Asako.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'd say that's definitely true. And it's also like, I think it's one of those things where it's like, I mean, how old was Sana when she went to live with them? Like, when he went to live with them, like, she was really little. And so it's like, it's like, you don't really think about it much when it's like a 4 or 5 year old, right? Like, you're my boyfriend. Like, sure. Okay, honey. Sure, sweet pea. And, I think, I imagine that he just anticipated she would grow out of it much sooner than she did, and that it just went on longer. And then, of course, the longer it goes on, the harder it is to pull yourself out of it because there's just going to be more hurt there. But also, like, what are you gonna do? Wait even longer? So it's good that Asako kind of comes back and is the catalyst to that lesson being learned.
Yeah. Even like adding with Sana's trauma, I also think like because I also like tend to use I guess like Akito's also a good example too because like he was literally seen as a monster by his mom and like and he kind of transformed into that because it's like that's all he's ever been told. Like he's
Mm.
like inherently like a bad person because like he caused all this grief for his family, and it's like he had to unlearn that, like him like literally being a mistake. And there's a reason behind why he even behaves the way he does. And it even seems like even in the beginning, like he was never proud of it, but it's like something that he has to be because he's been told this in a way. So it's just like, and then almost like him breaking being in that like follower mentality where you're just only following the people around you. Because that's also something I tend to see because when I was like looking into stuff, when I talked about like bullying in anime, especially in Japan and a lot of schools, they tend to want to be followers, trying to like be in with the crowd. So it's like when you see that, you want to almost embody that. So that's like a new interpretation I've sort of had about like Akito's trauma, where it's like he wants to become what people tell him. And then if people like revere him in this way, he's just going to continue. And then when like Sana breaks that reality, and then he starts to like slowly chip away from it, I think that's when you really start to see him like move on from what like every single person is telling him.
Mhm.
Mm.
And that's like a new interpretation I've had.
I
Yeah,
really like that.
I do too. There's something I think Tsuyoshi says in one of the later volumes when they're talking about that time with Sengoku. And Tsuyoshi's like, the boys just kind of decided Akito was their leader, and then we're all just like showing off for him, basically.
Yeah.
And it just sort of like snowballed into this thing. And, Akito wasn't going to stop it, because he was being what they expected him to be, or the role that they had assigned him as because he was stronger and better in fights, I think was another reason Tsuyoshi mentions.
hmm
There's just so
Yeah.
many layers to these characters. Like I
Mhm.
every time I watch it, every time I talk to somebody about it, I feel like I learned something new.
Me too, honestly. And there's like there's one other character that I don't know, I always think about her. And I don't know how everybody feels about Fuka,
Oh,
but
my
I
girl.
think like her character, I find her so interesting. I really find her very interesting, especially Akito is like quite literally the root of her trauma. Like he,
Mm.
he is the root. He kissed her in kindergarten like without her consent. And you know, seeing him again, like when he's older, and then like trying to also like be with him too. I was like, that is so fascinating. I'm like, sometimes I wonder like what was her thought process behind that?
Ah, we've got, oh man, I'm a Fuka apologist until the day I die. This is not a popular opinion to hold in this fandom. I
Fuka ages like fine wine. I feel like she gets better every rewatch or reread.
Mhm.
yes, hard agree. I feel like I also appreciate that, like, in the year of our Lord 2026, we are able to have a more nuanced take of Fuka other than, like, she stole Akito. How dare she?
I like
Um,
that is like not what happened.
no, exactly. I'm
That
like,
is
she
not what
didn't,
happened.
nobody told her
Like,
anything.
my thing is like, are we forgetting that this man kind of low-key assaulted her? Like, what?
Yeah.
Where are we missing that? Like, I'm not gonna blame her. Mm-mm.
No, it's also too like it's yeah, so it's like everybody has this like thing like she should have just like magically known that Sana and Akito had all this history, even though literally
No, they
nobody
barely knew each other.
Tsuyoshi like tells her way later. Um,
Mhm.
but I think to your point about like what she sees in him, I love that those moments in the like early part of them reconnecting in middle school, where
Mhm.
I think those girls ask Akito if they can take a picture of him, and he tells them no, and she's like, "What's your problem? It's a photo. Like, don't be such an asshole." And he's like, "I don't think it's kindness to be kind to somebody that I don't actually like." And kind of takes her by surprise a little bit because
Yeah.
he does have these, like, not wrong, but definitely not culturally what would be expected in terms of being polite.
Yeah.
And so she's like, I just find him really interesting because and he's the polar opposite of, what is her boyfriend's name?
Oh, was
Takaishi.
it Takaishi?
Takaishi. Takaishi, thank you. Because I was like, it's
Takaishi. I
not,
always forget how to pronounce his name. Yeah.
I know.
Hmm.
But yeah, so in many ways also like Akito is kind of like the opposite of Takaishi.
Yeah.
So it is an interesting, yeah, just that he's so different, I think
Also,
catches.
like a challenge. I think that's something that people tend to
Yes.
like with
I can change
partners.
him.
Like,
Oh,
yeah,
especially at
people
that
love that.
age.
I could change him. But I think just like even I just feel like she liked a challenge. Like she liked something that wasn't gonna be handed to her on a silver platter because I feel like even the moments when she then discovers like Aikido and Sana's history and how Aikido feels, I still like you still see that she's trying to make this work and at the same time you still get the sense that like her feelings for Aikido become genuine.
Absolutely.
And I think like she liked having someone that maybe challenged her own views and
Yes.
that made her very interesting to me. But I always distinctly remember like that scene when she got like kissed by him and I'm just like I always remember that because I'm just like it's so interesting to see that they come back and then they're able to I don't even know if they repatched. Did they even really repatch things with that?
The kindergarten kiss, I mean,
Yeah.
in the sense that I think Akito did his penance in terms of like taking her on that when he pretended to be her boyfriend for
Yeah,
all
yeah,
her
yeah.
Osaka
Oh, yeah,
friends.
that's true. That's true.
Though I do say, think there's a moment, I think it's in the manga, because I think Akito was dared to kiss her by the other boys in kindergarten,
Yep.
and it was like for like a dinosaur eraser or something. And I think like
Hmm.
Akito like either has the thought or like says to Tsuyoshi or something like she cannot know that it was for a bet. Like she cannot know. Everybody's taking this to our graves. Like,
Yeah, he's like, I want some dignity.
yep.
He's like, I did it because I did it, not because other people told me to do it.
Yep. Whoops. Yeah. No, I don't know if that's ever like fully resolved, but I do like that scene also, like when Sana and Akito are having their first date in the manga, and Sana asks, like, did you like Fuka? And he's like, I think she's a really good person and I like her as a friend, but
Yeah.
she's not you. Yeah, I really like that clarification because I do think that they over the course, it's difficult to spend 3+ months with somebody as your significant other and not at least end up good friends at the end of that,
Hmm.
spending all that time
Yeah.
together. So I like to think that into the future they retain a good friendship at least.
Totally. I totally agree.
Thank you.
Well, she
Focus.
is, they are all together in Deep Clear, so I'd
It's
say,
true.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she did roll up for that, so can't be that bad.
I got over it.
Yeah. Middle school relationship. Think it's okay. I think everybody's gonna be all right. Yeah, I do think that Fuka's just a really great character. She's so I think what you said about the challenge piece is really accurate because yeah, I think that I don't know, she's just a very like staunchly kind of principled person, I think. I think also part of why when Takaishi just like completely closes off communication with her kind of out of nowhere, that, that was kind of, I think even if given another chance, like she wouldn't take it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just me. But whose trauma should we unpack next?
It's
So I
okay.
was actually wanting to bring up Kazuyuki and
Mm,
his anime counterpart to cow. You know, I did a video. This was probably my latest character analysis video that I did on the channel. And when I was unpacking that and going through what his trauma is and his relationship with his mother, I always tell people, if they ask me like which Kodocha character do you relate to the most? And I usually say Sana. But after doing this video and just like really digging into his story, it was like, yeah, I'm Kazuyuki. Um,
Hmm.
so Kazuyuki, he's kind of like this like invisible classmate for a while. He kind of stays in the background. He's kind of nobody really notices him at all. But behind the scenes, he's going through this trauma with a very controlling mother. And basically, his mother made him stop talking to his best friend and really focus on his schoolwork and making sure that he's like the picture perfect child. So he goes through this arc with Akito in the manga, and where he basically admires him from a distance. And when he approaches him regarding a school survey, Akito's like, "Do I know you?" And this is very traumatic for him, that he's basically like just a nobody to him and his friends. I mean, they didn't even know his name. Like, there's this whole scene where they're trying to like figure out his name, and then I think Aya's like, "Oh, that's Tatsuya or something like that." Not even close to his real name. And he basically leaves a note. I don't know if I can use this word on YouTube, but a note that you're going to go away and do something bad to yourself.
Mm.
And Akito
Mhm.
goes to find him, and we find out the extent of what he's going through with his mother and how he wants to have the same confidence that he sees that Akito has. And I feel like I personally really resonate with Kazuyuki's story, because when I was in school, I was very invisible to people. But behind the scenes, I was going through an experience where I had a father that was very much like Kazuyuki's mother. And so I could relate to having that silent battle and also eventually reaching a breaking point that was similar to Kazuyuki. Of course, it wasn't as extreme, but so I really resonate with his story in particular because as someone who went through being the child of a parent who wanted you to be the perfect child and get good grades and do all these extracurricular activities, like just the pressure of that, like I can understand why he went to an extreme like he did.
Mhm. Pushed to a breaking point. Um, yeah, very well put. And thank you for sharing. I do love like if y'all get a chance to hit up the TKG YouTube channel, it is a very good deep dive. I really thought it was very interesting. Especially when you broke down like different kinds of love within like Japanese psychology. I thought that was really interesting too. But I feel like that's
Go
possibly
Yeah,
not
watch the
relevant to
video.
no,
today's conversation.
that's very true. No notes, really.
Yeah. Watch the video. Yeah, I'm trying to think if I've got anything to like add on Kazuyuki. I'm just like thinking about like what it's kind of like to exist on the periphery. Like I don't know if y'all remember this from like middle school and high school, or maybe this, I don't know if this was the case for y'all in middle school and high school, but did people stand in circles to talk like a lot?
Hmm.
Like just like if people are gathering, they were kind of standing in a circle.
I
No,
feel like
this is just my school.
I feel like it was probably a thing, but it wasn't something that was like super noticeable.
Okay.
yeah, I might not. It might have happened. I probably just don't remember it.
Okay, fair enough. No, it was common in my school, and I do sort of remember like it being kind of weird when you were like next to the circle or like kind of in the circle, but also like not really like in the circle of the conversation. So you're like listening and reacting, and then like if you tried to contribute but nobody else knew that you were having that conversation with that group of people at that moment, then you'd get that like look and you're like, oh god, goodbye forever. I will disappear inside of myself. And I just kind of it that feeling kind of reminds me of Kazuyuki, because he was just sort of existing on the periphery and like felt like he was a part of this circle. And then everybody's like, "Oh my god, you've been here the whole time," which is
Okay, so I have a
tough.
story actually about that.
Ooh,
About
let's go.
it was that feeling for me, but the extreme to kind of
Okay.
explain to you all like why I felt like Kazuyuki. So when I was a senior in high school, I took creative writing. I was very passionate about it. I would say I'm an introvert. I'd say for the most part, I'm a very quiet person. I keep to myself most of the time. So, I just kind of did my thing. I was in class. I had like two friends in that class. But I wasn't like talking to everybody all the time. I kind of did the assignments and, you know. So we had this spot on the school announcements one morning where they wanted to get the juniors to sign up for creative writing for senior year. So they wanted a student from the class to speak. So I was like, "Oh, I'd love to." And I remember just kind of being ignored by everyone and the teacher. And I remember being really upset about that. And I wrote, because we had these like daily journals and we had a free write day. And I wrote in my journal, the teacher would read the journals, and I wrote about how upset that made me. So she came up to me and and honestly, like looking back, I don't think she handled it very well because, like,
Mm.
I don't know if this was really the right thing to say to a kid. But she's like, you're so quiet that I never would have suspected that you wanted to do it.
Feels a little victim blamey.
Mm.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
At the time I didn't think much of it, but like looking back, I'm like, that wasn't really the best thing to say to a kid,
No.
especially someone who, kind of doesn't really feel confident putting themselves out there.
Yeah. Yes, so strange. My husband actually had a very similar thing happen to him in school.
Hmm.
Um, uh, Soft-spoken angel babies. It is unfortunate. People aren't very good listeners, but you shouldn't
Mm.
have to yell to be acknowledged.
100%.
Anything to add on Kazuyuki Komori slash
I
Nakao?
don't have anything else to add on him. You guys nailed it.
She's
Thanks.
the professional,
No, I'm not.
and
Stop.
and I am the court jester, and that is how this works.
No, you're not.
No, it's
You're
okay.
not.
I've leaned
Quit.
into it. That's my role.
Oh my gosh. Quit downing yourself.
No, I
You are an
shan't.
amazing part of this community.
Bless you. You are too good to me, as always. So, whose trauma should we unpack next? Woo.
We could honestly sit here all day because like I actually like I'm going over my notes right now and I have like kind of little notes about even some smaller characters, but it's
Mm-hmm.
like we'd be sitting here for hours talking
It's
about it.
true.
So
I know I feel like we've really like skated the surface on like Sana and Akito's trauma too. I think
Uh,
we've
there's
done a pretty good job with
way too much to
Akito.
talk about with those two.
I know it. Like, I mean, yeah, because Sana, like whole doll syndrome arc. I'm gonna be thinking about that manga panel of her as a baby on the park bench until I die.
Oh,
oh,
oh my
Like
God.
when like it's like first person perspective, her like as a newborn looking at the sky, and I'm just like,
yes.
oh my
Hmm.
God. Like, yeah, no, she's got some abandonment stuff, and that's fair.
Yeah.
I actually want to bring this up because I think it is applies to Kadocha. I was when I was preparing for our podcast, I was reading about trauma responses,
Mm.
and it's interesting because I feel like Sana and Akito both have very different trauma responses. I think with Sana, she she tends to kind of lean into that flight freeze zone. So
Mm,
basically, she avoids the problems, like the really, really deep stuff. I think she's always willing to, like, kick butt when she has to, in the moment. But I think
hmm.
when it comes to her own personal trauma, I think she kind of tries to put on a happy face and avoid it and be like, everything's fine. And
Hmm.
we see the freeze trauma coming out, especially in the doll syndrome arc.
Yeah.
We see that physically with her. She can't express emotions. She's just basically flat the whole time.
Yeah.
But with Aikido, he's definitely, I think he leans more into the fight response
Hmm.
because he's not necessarily confrontational, but he definitely asserts his presence into situations. And I think we actually really see this come out with Sengoku, because
Mm,
Sengoku is kind of the character that kind of brings back the trauma that he experienced in the series.
hmm.
Um, I feel like he kind of brings all that stuff back up into his mind. He's kind of dealing with this guy who's, starting to kind of torment him and make him feel like he's the monster that he was always told that he was again. So, he's very confrontational with Sengoku from the start. He's like, you're just a bully who's found a new victim. That's what he says to him when he
Hmm.
first comes into his class. So it's interesting how they both handle their trauma differently. I would say very in very different ways. Like very she tries to hide it. She tries to go along and make sure everything's okay and be positive and happy while he just kind of just, goes into things and goes into situations and he's very blunt about things.
Mm. I definitely agree with like freeze being one of Sana's responses. I do think there's a good amount of flight there as well. She just like it's difficult to like nail her down to get her to talk about something that she's not ready to talk about or doesn't want to talk about.
Mhm.
She'll change the subject. She'll like literally remove herself from the situation. Like, and I think Akito, who, as you note, being a bit more confrontational is not quite right, but in that vein, is really has to kind of almost like corner her a little bit.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
like I think about ninth volume of the manga where they sneak Akito out of the hospital to say goodbye to Kazuyuki, and Akito's like, great. So while we're here, we should have a discussion about like the nature of this relationship. And she's like, what if we didn't though? Because defining things would
Mm.
change things, and I don't want that. And he really does literally kind of like push her to um have the conversation because she otherwise wouldn't.
Yep.
That's an example. I'm sure there are more if I thought more about it. I read those later volumes a lot, so they're always kind of in my head.
I really should. I feel like the ones that I read most of the time now are the really the middle ones, actually. Like
Mm,
the whole, I would say probably the between volume 4 and 8, I read
okay.
a lot. Just because I think it's well established now that one of my favorite moments is that scene with Akito in the hospital with his mother.
Yeah.
So I love
Hmm.
rereading that.
Yeah.
Or the be I absolutely love the when Sana sings to Akito, like when he's with his
Yes.
mom. Ugh, that's priceless.
That's that is so I it's like definitely one of the first big arc moments I feel like in Kodocha is the mother that piece of the mother arc, and it's such a special moment, and especially the fact that it's to me it's kind of a cornerstone of the series because it is a moment that we return to so often. And I'd argue and have argued and will continue to argue that I do think that go on living as a concept is kind of the heart of the series. Even
Hmm.
when things are difficult, you go on living.
100%.
It's so good. How are we feeling? Really light and happy?
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm happy, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
we got
thinking
a
I was
about
like,
lot
I feel like
of.
we're like a little subdued.
I know
Yeah,
Like,
that was
I'm
that's a
it's like,
lot.
hmm,
Oh,
like a little introspective, perhaps.
yeah. I
exactly.
always keep forgetting how deep this series is,
Hmm.
really.
Oh, yeah. I mean, gosh, we talk about all the time. It's like we've got, what would we say, a never-ending list of possible topics for
Yeah.
this podcast. Like, I mean, episodes and chapters would keep us busy for several
Mhm.
years, but getting to do these analyses and chat with other folks with interesting points of views and perspectives like yourself is, I think, also so like it's just so good. I'm so
Mhm.
so happy that you came on and have been sharing with us.
Yeah. Thank you guys for having me. I've yeah, I love talking about Kodocha. Yeah, and I was glad to be able to revisit it too, because it's a series that it resonates a lot. And ooh, every character, like every time I go back to it, it's like, man, I always learn something new. I always find
Mm,
something like that whole bullying arc. Like I was like, man, that really did resonate with me because I went through something very similar.
it is, I think, a very special series that way. Very
Everybody
touching.
should watch or read it at some point. They should.
Hard agree. Required reading, really.
Yeah.
Same.
It
It should be in
should.
Um,
school libraries.
It
Truly.
really should.
Everybody, AP
Be in that
English,
manga
Kodocha.
section, you should pick it up.
Truly. I
Like
wish
No,
it was
I
like
I
easier
always
for
feel
people to
I'm like
get,
the
but
Kodocha anime was wonderful and I love it, but they did not finish it. So
no,
they did not finish the story. I was like, you made 100 why not finish it?
truly.
I often fantasize that if I ever, because I've thought about like getting a master's degree and maybe like teaching psychology. And I've always fantasized about like having my class read Kodocha and write a paper on it.
Listen, I love that. If I
And
got a
I am
college
sure people
assignment that
would
was
not.
like
I feel people would love to do that assignment.
same, if any teacher had been like, please go read 10 volumes of manga, I would have been like, excellent. Sure. Can I take this class
Absolutely.
again? Like, because I think like even in like the schools that have like comic book classes and stuff like that, I don't think they make people read like full runs, which is a shame. Maybe we should
Yeah.
open the schools.
They've
Read
got a lot of
Kodocha.
interesting college courses these days. When I went, I took a rock and roll history, and I saw an article that they have like I think it's Harvard. They've got a Taylor Swift class, and they've got like the Beatles class. Like,
Wow.
I mean, they're really branching out with some of these college courses.
Yeah, I think back when I was in college, because I did take Japanese for 2 years.
Hmm.
My teacher, sensei, she had us. I remember we had to read. What was it? I think we had to read My Hero Academia. We
Ah!
had to read the first like two volumes
Oh
in
my gosh.
Japanese and like try to
Ah,
like translate what was said. So that was really cool.
That's
nice. It's a
awesome.
great assignment. I study Japanese by myself. I have a tutor that I meet with every week to practice speaking, and her name is Fuka, actually. So
Oh.
Fuka Sensei, my beloved. She's so cool. But yeah, that's a fun assignment. I didn't take
Oh, I
anything
can
fun in
imagine.
college. I think like the most
Yeah.
exciting class I
That,
took in college was theater and the Holocaust, which was a
ooh.
bummer. Like,
Yeah, that's very deep.
yeah, it was.
Yeah, I mean
I
I
bet that
took
was interesting.
yeah, because I mean when I was in like when I was in like the honors program, because I was in the honors program when I was in college, and they had these really interesting classes. Like one was literally just like a film class. It was called Men, Masculinity, and Movies, and
Hmm.
easily one of my favorite classes I've ever taken. It was so like you got to really explore the depths of how movies depict masculinity, depict men, and we got to discuss so many things. Like because we got to watch like stuff like Moonlight and Call Me
Oh,
by Your Name and
mm,
got to watch some like really interesting stuff.
yeah, yeah. Moonlight's such a good movie.
Ugh.
I'll watch
I
Mahershala Ali
recommend
like
everybody
any
watch it.
day.
That should be required. That should be required. Everybody
Yeah.
should watch that.
It's so good.
Learn about Black queer people. You get to learn. I love it.
Yes. Excellent, excellent film. Was that the La La Land Best Picture mix-up year? I think it was.
I wanted to look into that. I'm actually not sure.
I feel I might be wrong. I might be conflating two movies, but I feel like the year that it was La La Land got announced for Best Picture, and then it turned out that they didn't win Best Picture, but everybody was already on stage. And so they were like, it was insanely awkward. And I'm pretty sure that was because it was actually Moonlight that won that
Oh, it
year.
was.
It
Yes,
was
it
Moonlight.
was.
Okay. I was like, am I
Yes.
thinking of another
That was
movie?
that was the one.
Because Mahershala was in like a bunch of Best Pictures, like back to back for a while there, and I was like, could it have been one of the other ones? Neither here nor there. Great fracking movie. Everybody go watch it.
I would just hope for either I would love to see like a re-release of Kodocha or something so I could
Mm,
actually own it.
yeah,
I
I
would
would.
love to own it. I was like, that's a manga I would actually buy.
Oh, for sure. I mean, yeah, I also like what I would give for a reprint and like a clean translation. Honestly, even if they just ebooked it, that would be enough for
Yeah.
me, I think. Just like something. I mean, the Tokyo
I
Pop
hope it's not
translation isn't
impossible with all these
awful, but
hoping it's not impossible with all these collector's editions they're doing that maybe it'll
yeah.
just come up one year or something, maybe.
It's it's what I'm hoping. But I worry that, if things like, that Marmalade Boy collector's edition and stuff like don't sell well, that they
Yeah.
won't
I
continue
don't
down the
know.
path.
I just don't think the Marmalade Boy one was gonna do as well as I did not think that series was gonna do as well because it's a 90s work, it's a 90s work that, to be honest, was a guilty pleasure for most. And it just doesn't work now. So that's why I'm
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
Yeah.
it
like
seems like
it's
the
there that
general
are
cons
actually things that'll actually work. So I don't even know how the gravitation one is done either, but that's one I've been grabbing.
Mm,
it seems like the
gravitation.
general consensus with Marmalade Boy is like people are like, "Oh, I read this series when I was a teenager. It was so good." But then when I read it as an adult, it's like, "Ooh, that was bad."
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. That's some things age better than others, but the truth of the matter is that Marmalade Boy is and was a very popular series, and it's still one
Yeah.
of the shining jewels in Reborn's crown, and uh, I
Like
think we'll just
Sadly.
have to
people
live with
still,
it.
I mean, I'm like, there's a reason why videos on these types of series do so well.
Yeah, fair.
Like I was shocked that that video now is at like 80,000.
That's
I
awesome.
like that has to be a reason.
Yeah. It's I think I'd also put it this way. I'm like, I remember like hearing a lot about Marmalade Boy back in the early anime days. And whereas like Kodocha, like I found just kind of on an accidental fluke. Like there were ads for the Kodocha manga in um a lot of the Tokyo Pop volumes, like in the back where they would have, ads for other things that they printed. But like it was not a compelling ad, like, and it just never, I think, hit that same household name status over here, which is disappointing. Say from
I mean,
based on y'all's
I just
reviews.
found it because I was loving Gakuen Alice at the time, so I like picked it. I think I just found it
Mm,
online and just started reading.
so funny. Gakuen Alice to Kodocha pipeline is real.
Yeah.
You're
It
definitely at least the second person I can think of that had that moment.
it was like that and then Marmalade Boy. So like
Yep.
it was a very weird progression because I went from that to Kodocha to Marley Boy and then to like things like Peach Girl and
Mm,
like all the like soap opera shoujo. That's what I called them. I called them
yes.
like telenovela soap opera
Fair.
because it was so insane.
Accurate. Yes. I kind of miss that. Like that's when I
I
think
do
you got to
too.
think about like the serial nature of manga is like, oh, this is just like a monthly installment and it can get unhinged because it's like a monthly read. Was
Yeah.
some of these
Like
were
I
not
wouldn't
intended
mind
to be
having
like
like
monthlies.
another Peach Girl type come up. like a series like that to come up in a show because I think that would get like that I think that would get very popular.
Oh, I completely
And
agree.
there's some that are even doing very well. Like Timon's B-side's doing very well.
Yes, I love that series.
Mhm.
I haven't watched all what they have of the anime yet, but I watched the first episode. Oh, it's so funny.
Yeah, I've watched the first two episodes. Oh man, it's really good.
Nice.
Yeah,
Oh,
and then the Gakuen Alice author even had Cheng Pinyon Witch. That anime is out now, and that one's like that one's really cool. That's been like kind of like a comfort watch. It's not too much going on, but
nice.
it's cool.
It's been a
Yeah.
really good year for shoujo so far, I think.
Oh yes, it is.
Praise
That
be.
time. I'm like, because I don't watch like a bunch of seasonal stuff. Like, especially if I even talk about it on the channel, like I am like a nostalgia fiend. I like going old. So like when there's like a bunch of new stuff that's like really good, it's like, oh, this is fun. I actually get to understand what people are watching.
I am
Hmm.
the same way, so I totally know how you feel right now. I there was like a tweet a few weeks ago that was like, I don't think I've been this excited about like new anime and manga releases since like I haven't felt this high since I was in middle school, and I really, really
Yeah.
feel
Yep.
that tweet right
Yep.
now.
Yep.
Honestly, same. Because, like, I feel like I took a long manga community break for probably like 10 years-ish. So I just went back to my to watch list from like 2008, and I'm still working through that. So it's going to be a while till I catch up on anything that's come out in the last few years.
Yeah. I'm only doing it because some stuff is coming out weekly, so sometimes I just like turn it on after I get off of work or
Mhm.
something. I've taken a big break off of like community discourse and
Fair.
like
Fair.
it's like part of it's like why I don't post much anymore. It's just like I'm just tired.
I totally get it. Because I feel like it's really hard to talk about things in a nuanced way because people either take you as like they take things either one extreme or the other, I've noticed. And
Mhm.
like I've been experimenting with my Twitter lately. I kind of I try to keep myself personally out of it, but like I'm just like trying like different kind of posts and like seeing what the reaction is. And one thing I've noticed is that some people like to kind of twist your words, and it's really upsetting because I feel like we need to have more conversations instead of these reactionary things to drum up views. And I understand that's unfortunately the nature of the internet these days, especially
Yeah.
Twitter. But,
Mhm.
I just, one of the things that I strive for with my content is like I want to try to have more nuance.
I definitely have to have nuance, 100%.
Oh, definitely. I'm like, I definitely think outside of like Daily Kodocha, I feel like I keep pretty much to myself, and to like friends, within the animanga community. And I am kind of fine with that. There's like a certain bubble that I'm like, oh no, I do not want this to get beyond my intended audience. Like, I am
Yeah, no,
too
I know how
old
you
and too
feel.
tired to
I
Yeah.
argue
I
with
had
anybody
this
on the internet.
I had this post that blew up where people were upset about a shoujo that came out. I don't remember what it was, but it blew up to the point where, yeah, it got in the hands of people who were just like anti-Yuri people.
Oh,
Oh.
And
geez.
I was like, all right. And I closed the comments.
Yeah, that's
Oh
we
gosh.
have the power to protect our peace, and we should do so.
The anime community is never beating the bigotry allegations ever.
No, it's
It's like, I found it's just like a total cluster of just, yeah, people taking things the wrong way, like I was saying. And yeah, I have to be careful with what I say sometimes.
Even with like nuance, like, because I remember because I made a video on like Uchina too, and I was talking about like,
mm,
and I knew it was coming. I was like, I knew I was gonna
uh,
read those comments, but I was like, I had like an interpretation that might have been unpopular. I'm like, I think Uchina could also be bi,
let's
possibly
go.
question. And I was
By
like,
representation.
And I saw, and I thought I was like, oh, am I alone? Like, no, there are bi people that you were like, hey, I definitely can interpret it that way, especially like in the anime, especially when you watch the movie. Sometimes I'm like, I feel like you could also tell, and it's like I wasn't like, I literally was like, I'm not trying to say Uchina is not a lesbian, but I'm just like, I think this is also interesting. And then like, there's just people in the comments being like, no, I don't think so. No, you're wrong. I'm just like, can we not critically think anymore? Like.
No,
Yeah,
no.
I've noticed it's
Unfortunately, no, it's gone.
I've noticed it's especially bad, yeah, when you talk about a series that's relatively popular or well
Yeah.
known. Because I never really get a lot of hate comments in my Kodocha content, but whenever I talk about a series that's has a larger fan base, I get those comments that are just like, "What do you mean? This is stupid. Like, you're wrong." When like literally all my content is kind of based on theory, so it's like I'm just kind of presenting something that might be true. So, you know what? There's no reason for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm just
Mm.
giving my opinion on a series and how it could, like, it's just like, yo, come
I
on.
That's another one of those things I do think people need to realize is if you see something that you don't like or agree with on the internet, there's a little button on your mouse that allows you to scroll past it, and you can just walk away. You don't have to weigh in
Yeah,
on
this
everything
is
you disagree
exactly what
with.
I this is exactly what I mean by the reason why I'm just like not I'm like no longer on Twitter. I'm like not on there
Yeah,
anymore.
fair.
But even like I don't touch it. I sometimes scroll to see what's happening, then I leave. But it's like people can't handle opinions. They cannot handle differing opinions.
Hmm.
Like if I don't like a trope, I don't like something, and I'm not like bashing it. I'm actually giving analysis, and I'm
Yeah,
like giving my opinion that's like thoughtful and like not just like bashing. People automatically think it's hate. Like,
yeah.
can
Something
we
can
please?
just not
I
be
was
for
like, can we
you.
please not treat analysis like hate just because you don't agree with
Yeah.
it?
Yes. Hard agree. No, I so with you there. I always think about I don't know. I just like I've pulled myself out of and sidestepped a lot of discourse and I intend to keep it that way. I just simply don't have the energy. But I always think about that clip of Kyoko from Fruits Basket, Toru's mom, when she's like, I just relaxed a little and it feels nice. And I'm like, what if we all what
That's
if we all
such a
relaxed a little?
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
What if?
It's just an opinion. If you don't like, scroll, move past,
Yeah.
mute. Like,
Yeah.
please. I'm
I
just like, I'm
just
not gonna
Or
come
just be
another
back,
like, that's an
post
interesting
videos, and
thought.
people just like,
Yeah.
please, yeah, please.
Another thing is too that I wish that people would, I guess, like sometimes I see things like people talking about certain things and using words and they don't really understand what the words mean or like,
Yeah.
they don't try to dig any deeper and then they just like start like attacking people in their comments. Like I wish that people would just be, just if this were a face-to-face interaction, you'd probably be acting completely different. So treat it as a face-to-face interaction instead of just like being hateful for clicks.
True.
Yeah.
Also, there's a lot of weaponized therapy speak on Beyonce's internet today.
Ugh,
Mm.
And
yikes.
it's bad.
And
What's
it's like,
I
especially
don't think I've
now
ever
with like,
heard that before. I can imagine what it is, but like, can you explain what that means?
Like weaponized therapy speak or Beyonce's internet.
Weaponized. I know I can
You can
Beyonce internet makes
infer,
sense.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
but like, yeah,
It's
what's
her world.
weaponized?
Yeah, so it's something that I've experienced a good amount in my personal life. It is when somebody, perhaps who has some things to work on for themselves, uh, goes to therapy and they learn like all of those therapy terms like boundaries and, like protecting peace and like trauma dumping and all of that stuff. But instead of like using therapy as a way to like a mirror for yourself so that like you can grow and change, they turn it back on the people in their lives to be like, you're actually like trauma dumping on me right now, or like
Oh
I'm actually like
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
setting boundaries, when it's like, no, you're just using therapy and or your mental health issues as an excuse to be a jerk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's exactly what happens. What I was describing that
Yes.
happens in Twitter
Oh
sometimes is
yeah.
they use those phrases, and
Yeah.
it's not always therapy phrases, but yeah, no, I've seen
Yeah.
stuff like that
Oh,
before, and
for
it's
sure.
always just like, all right, it's like you said, I just scroll past it, like, oh, come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. It's it's tiring. I also like I don't want to be like we're all mentally ill, but like you do have to take some responsibility for the experience that you have online. And I think a lot of people don't help themselves.
Hmm.
This was fun.
Yeah, no, I feel like no, seriously, I felt like like I'm really enjoying myself, and we could go on and on, but I think probably we should probably start to wrap up now. We've been going for a
Yeah, it's
while.
sorry.
Yes.
I'm like, I'm a yapper.
Yeah, me too.
Same.
I was like, I think we might all be yappers. Oh no.
Yeah, I love yapping. I
Oh,
love
same.
talking about these things because I'm like, I haven't been able to talk to people about probably anything anime manga related for
Oh,
several months.
BB.
Well, hey, I mean, we could definitely have you on the show again. I think that'd be really fun.
Yeah, I'd be down. We'll do a happy topic next time.
That'd be fine.
Ah.
We could do a Marmalade Boy episode. I know
Blech.
people have asked
Yeah,
me about that. I am
definitely should because I will always be down to talk about that series because I have way too many opinions.
Y'all are gonna make
I
me
am
actually have to watch and read this thing when it's high.
I'm planning on
I
making my own video right now, actually,
Ugh.
about it. So
I
I'm
had
having fun with it, but you know,
Okay.
it's exhausting
yeah,
sometimes
part of me
thinking
was
about
like,
it.
why I don't know why I worked so hard on that video and made like I mean, it was like 80 minutes. It was like an hour. 'Cause I digged into like every single like plot point about Miki and Yu's relationship and I was exhausted.
Wow.
It was
That's a
worth it. I
lot
was
for
like, you know
bread.
what?
Yeah.
People like the video, so I was like,
It's a
it
good
was
one.
great.
Oh, that's awesome. So yeah, if we're gonna wrap things up, some housekeeping. We will put Basic Boys social links in the description box below. Please give them a follow. And is that it? I think that might be it. Okay. Well,
Well, I
anything else to
guess
add or
not for me.
I don't. Yeah, thank you guys for having me on. This was a lot of fun.
yeah,
And yeah,
yay.
this was great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
hard
this was
agree.
awesome.
Had a lot of fun. Today was great.
Mhm.
Let's do it again.
Yeah, yeah.
Totally
Alrighty.
down.
Yay. Alrighty.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to 19 O'Clock News, a Kodocha podcast.
19 O'Clock News is hosted by That Kodocha Girl and Mahou Shoujo M.
We love making new friends. Feel free to join us in the Kodocha Discord under Kodocha_media.
19 O'Clock News is not affiliated with any current or previous rights holders to Kodomo no Omocha by Miho Obana.